This is a man who probably did what he was talking about is everything that every farmer will understand, which is if I take care of this land's going to take care of me, it's going to take care of my family. And in a different sense, what he was talking about is he saw commerce and stewardship, when they're operating correctly, are operating together, right? The economy and the environment, when they're operating correctly, operate together. Simple man, simple idea, super profound, right? I grew up, I go out into the world says, that's not how it works, kid. This is a zero-sum battle where the environment wins when the economy loses and vice versa. And so that set up a pretty big conflict in me, right? Either the world is set up wrong, engineered wrong, as Landro mentioned this morning, or my grandpa was a liar. I, of course, choose not to think that my grandpa is a liar. I think we got it set up wrong. And for me, I've dedicated my life, kind of on accident, to fixing that problem. And the good news is it's fixable. And what's pretty cool is my grandpa is not alone in his ideas.
A story about the Rogue River in Oregon. Every year, the Rogue is filled with salmon swimming upstream to spawn. But because factories were allowing warm water to run back into the river, the temperature was becoming too high for the salmon to survive. So to fix the problem, the town could have required the company to buy expensive cooling equipment, but that would have hurt the local economy. Instead, they decided to pay farmers and ranchers to plant trees along the banks of the river. And that helped to cool the water at a fraction of the cost. So it worked for business, it worked for farmers, it worked for salmon.
It's like 3 this morning already. I think people did stay out a little bit later last night than this morning would suggest. I'll come back to what the president was talking about as one of our projects that we did up in Oregon a little bit later, but I'll give you a little bit of background on the Freshwater Trust, just for context. We started like a lot of traditional conservation groups did, but in our case, we have had a good history of leaning into white space. We do things that haven't been done, and then we act on it. So we started really getting active in several, which does a lot of good things if you want to really stop bad things from happening. But it's more than just stopping bad things from happening. It also is about making good things happen. We turned to working with landowners to figure out how to work with them to use less water. So we started the world's first water trust model, where we take and purchase excess irrigation water, or lease excess irrigation water, and put it in streams for the benefit of the stream. That model is now proliferated around the American West and is moving around the globe. We have high hopes for that transaction model, but we still have a long, long way to go. And over the last few years, really what we've started to look at is how to use data and technology to accelerate the pace of restoration in the world and quantify the environmental uplift from every single change over the years, because the world has changed over the years and it's going to keep on changing. And so what we need to do going forward is really figure out what's the balance. How of the 1% of fresh water that's available for us all, 70% of it goes to raising crops or growing animals that we can eat, right? The average American diet takes about 1,320 gallons of water every single day to put dinner on the table. And if you're in New Orleans, it's more than that. But what that means is, what has become mission critical for us is figuring out ways to work with landowners so they can do more with less in a profitable way. Our need for food will double in the next 20 years. And the stresses that we are putting on our environment at a rate, well, as we're growing at a rate of 1 billion people a decade, really puts in question whether or not we can feed that population without destroying the very resources that are required to do that in the first place. We're not off to a good start, right? We have exploding dead zones. We have California happening, which again, engineering problem, right? Nature makes drought, but man makes scarcity. If we don't get ahead